Recently I posted the video called the A List, a list of meaningful qualities to cultivate and keep active in our spiritual walk. And in that video I promised that soon I would post the S List, which I'm now posting here today. The S List, not in the slang form of the word, of course, but the S List meaning our spirituality list, you could call it, all of the qualities that we should cultivate and keep activated in our spiritual life, which happen to begin with S. So I've lumped them all together into A, and now I'm lumping them all together into S as a sort of a part 2 to the A list. The first one is slowness, and how important and medicinal slowness in our life can be. Of course, there's some things in life that are very urgent and must be done quickly, but what I mean is the pace and the cadence of modern humanity and our experience of living this modernized life is overly rushed. It's too fast. It's not good for us. Our minds are perpetually overwhelmed, barraged with information and impulses, and the battle for our attention and our consciousness and all of it. It just gets us wound up into a nervous state of hurriedness, rushedness at all times. And in that state, we are anything but present and connected and attuned. It's a state of being constantly stressed and pressured, and we need to live more slowly and away from that. The importance of slowness in our spiritual walk day to day. One thing at a time, step by step, breath after breath. Slowness. And after we have reached a good level of slowness, we arrive at the second one on the list, which is stillness. Stillness is what lies at the end of slowness. Stillness. Something that, again, modern humanity runs from, seems to do anything it can to avoid. Stillness. Restful being. It is in stillness that our connectivity returns refreshed and renewed. Our connectivity to divinity, nature, self, community, family, all of this. In stillness do we hear the voice of God. Stillness. You can't really have too much of it. In stillness, we find silence. As much as the world of modern humanity is chatter, 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 and clamoring noises and constant jolts of distractions of all kinds, silence, you could say, is the voice of God. Silence is medicine. Silence enables true and total presence, from which flows connectivity, from which flows understanding, guidance, trust, rest, abiding. Silence is golden. It's better than golden. We also have the quality of synchronicity. Synchronicity, in other words, attunedness, alignment, being in harmony, being one in the divine flow, flow state, all of these words, synchronicity. Once we have withdrawn from all the noise and chatter, once we have allowed ourselves to slow down, once we have become rooted in stillness, anchored, grounded, then we are connected, and then we can synchronize, align. And all of this is ideally done and very most effectively done in solitude. Our next word, solitude. I did a video called On Being Alone recently that you might want to look into. Solitude does not mean abandoned, alone, and lonely and helpless. It doesn't mean that. It means all others are removed from your field of consciousness, and it is just your connection to the all. Solitude. Solitude is absolutely priceless, and almost none of us get enough of it. I cannot encourage you enough to prioritize your solitude. It will refresh, restore, renew you, realign you, as long as you have the slowness, the stillness, the synchronicity, and all the other S's that are on the list activated at that time or in place at that time. The next one is simplicity. How wise it is and what medicine it is to live simply. Empty your house of everything you do not commonly, consistently use. Sell it, donate it, recycle it. Remove it from your life. It is occupying mental real estate in your mind. It is taking a consistent portion of your limited energy every day of your life to remain as your possession, because everything that you possess possesses you. Simplify. Give it away. There are people who need it or would accept it, or it could be recycled and made into something else, or if there's no other option, toss it, or sell it and give the money to something meaningful. But simplify. Do not overbook your calendar with obligations. You do not need to be in a state of perpetual doing. You have nothing to prove. You are not obligated to appear constantly busy to your peers so that you feel valid and you will avoid criticism from those who may be busier than you. I used to run a business in the U.S., and my colleagues would say to me, "How you doing? You busy?" And I'd say, "Wrong question. The right question is, am I profitable? If I can do that in minimal energy and in as few moves as possible, the better." Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, what I meant when I say are you busy is, are you being profitable? Yeah. We don't need to always be busy. It's wonderful to not be busy. Time out. We are not human doings. We're not even human beings. We're being humans. But anyway, so solitude and simplicity are critical. Simplify your life in every way you can. Let things go. Let people go when necessary. You know when it's time. You know when something is harming you more than it's benefiting you. You don't need to be everything for everyone. Take care of yourself. Which brings us to self-care. Self-care is not a sin. Self-care is not selfish. Self-care is essential. You must take care of you first, or you are of no use to helping anybody else. Fill your cup first, that you may pour of it for others. If your oxygen mask drops down, place it on your own face first, so that you may turn and help those around you who may be in need. It's not me first, it's self-care, and it's wisdom. And there's no issue of deserving it or not deserving it. No. You are the only one who is responsible for taking care of you. Take care of you first, so that you may be helpful to others when the opportunities arise. Self-care is not selfish. It's necessary. You don't have to explain it or justify it to anybody. And of course, I'm not talking about decadent indulgence and all that. I'm just talking about tending to your essential needs for wellness in any form. Which leads us to service. After you have taken care of yourself, you are ready to serve others in whatever opportunities present themselves to you, and they will. And if in your service you deplete or deny your own self, then it's an error. But give of yourself as generously and selflessly as you can, but not to your own detriment. Don't put yourself in a bad position by trying to help somebody else. That's good intention, unwise implementation. You'll find your balance. Service. In service comes joy, as Rabindranath Tagore said. In service I found joy. Giving of yourself, not giving yourself, but giving of yourself to the benefit of others when they need it, whether they asked for it or not, in whatever case the case may be. That brings you joy, because in helping others, we are helped. In serving others, we are served. Whatever you do in pureness of heart for others helps you, and there's no way around that. And it's okay to feel good about it, and it's okay to receive some blowback blessings for having helped others. It's the way energy and love function. Selflessness. Once in a while, withdraw and examine your life and ask yourself if whatever you're doing or thinking or wanting is purely motivated or might be motivated in selfishness. Do I want to do this or get this or have this or be this for reasons that are connected to the ego intellect? Do I feel the need for more, better, superior? Do I feel the need to get, have, all that? Or is it okay what I want? And does it seem pure? Do a check every now and again. Check your motives. And remember that selflessness, again, does not mean putting yourself out to a point where you've basically screwed yourself over, okay? For example, giving someone who has no shoes your shoes, and then you have to walk home on 2 miles of glass shards, maybe that doesn't work. But rather, taking turns piggyback through the shards of glass for 2 miles, that would be a wise way of being selfless. So you see, as you've heard it said, if your compassion does not include yourself, then it is incomplete, okay? So selflessness, but not the detriment of yourself for the sake of someone else. That's not the right balance. Even though there may be some religious teachings that make us think that, or we misunderstood to mean that, but selflessness, giving freely of yourself to others, but not sinking yourself in the process. Okay. The next one is sanctity. Recognize that even the ultimate totality of what we call the mundane is itself sacred. Each moment, each life form, each place, each person, each experience dwells in the sacred. Sanctity. Recognize the sanctity of all life, in all forms, in all stages. In all stages. It is so sad that our humanity needs to be reminded of that now. But be reminded. We don't always like every form of life. We don't always welcome every form of life. But after a certain point of realization and enlightenment and acceptance and wisdom, that changes. And we recognize that all forms in all stages of life is divinity expressing infinitely. The sanctity of the mundane, the sanctity of life, and each moment in it. Next is self-knowledge, the understanding and awareness of who we as ourselves are. Starting off, first of all, by knowing what we're not. We are not the body that we inhabit. We are not the name given to that form at birth. We are not the gender of that body. We are not the appearance of that body. We are not the race of that body. Those are characteristics of our current physical interface with this world, our personal living vehicle called the body, which has got its own incredible innate wisdom woven into it, more wise than the mind. But it's not who we are, it's what we occupy. To know that you are, metaphorically and to some extent literally, a child of God. You are an expressed emanation, an emanated expression of this infinite all, this source and sustainer beyond all human comprehension, which for shorthand we call God. And if you don't believe in God or you prefer to use another word, that's your deal. Go ahead. Okay? But I'm just, for the sake of simplicity, calling it God. You are a direct extension, emanation, and expression of God. You are by birthright of the same essence as God. You are an extension of this divinity, expressing currently in limited form, physical, with a beginning and an end of that form called birth and death. But it isn't who you are. It's what you're in. So why get caught up in all the details and the bickering? It's insanity. It's the first thing you should let go. And all of this, as an overview, is to enhance and reinforce and augment and even amplify your sadhana, your spiritual practice. It differs for all of us. Whatever is your daily spiritual practice, every day to keep my spiritual life fresh and connected and clear, I do whatever. Chanting, yoga, walks in the woods, Reiki, centering prayer. I go to temple, I go to church, I go to mosque. I follow this religion. I don't follow any religion. I have my own way that I've cultivated over the years, and which you will continue to cultivate all of your life. Whatever it is for you, that you stick to it, that it is your priority of an infrastructure for living. It is the framework by which you live. So that is our S list. Slowness, stillness, silence, synchronicity, simplicity, solitude, service, selflessness, self-care, sanctity, self-knowledge, and sadhana. I hope that this is meaningful and of good substance for you and that it has helped you. And I also would like to thank all of you who are kind enough to just click a little button called subscribe and even like and share on this channel, because that directly affects how many people can find us who have not yet found us. So thank you very much for those of you who take just a second to do that. And I watch YouTube videos too. I know how annoying it is to hear YouTubers, which I definitely don't consider myself to be, The whole smash that like button. I hate that too. But I want to just turn it around and thank those who do it, because you directly affect how many others are able to find us who wouldn't if we had less of a response. So I thank you for that personally. Be blessed, share away, and may your spiritual sadhana be enhanced and uplifted by the content that we share here on this channel. Thank you.